Ever wondered how much safer your work at height operations could be? Imagine a world where every potential hazard is detected before it becomes a problem. Meet Tracker AI's smart PTZ camera system. This isn't just any camera, it's a game changer in work at height safety. Safety is paramount, right? It's the foundation of a productive and happy workforce. Despite stringent regulations, accidents still happen. Traditional methods often fall short in preventing these incidents. Enter Tracker AI's smart PTZ. This advanced system is designed to fill the gaps left by outdated safety measures. Tracker smart PTZ cameras deliver unmatched oversight so you can spot hazards before they become accidents. Offering 24/7 monitoring, it detects work at height safety hazards instantly, no matter the time of day or night. Think about it. Real-time monitoring, automated alerts, and even fall detection. It's like having a safety manager who never blinks. Real-time alerts trigger immediate action, ensuring that potential dangers are addressed before they escalate. Automated surveillance significantly reduces human error, making your work site safer and more efficient. It even detects PPE and welding work compliance, ensuring that all workers are properly equipped. Ensure every worker goes home safe. That's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Ready to elevate safety? Stay safe, stay smart. With Tracker AI, you're not just upgrading your equipment, you're upgrading your entire safety culture. The Tracker Smart PTZ camera features advanced AI algorithms that are constantly learning and adapting to new safety challenges. With 360-degree rotation and high-definition video, it covers every angle, leaving no blind spots. You can decide which areas to cover, what to detect in each area through a simple online procedure without ever leaving your seat. Through the setup, you can monitor what is happening on the ground in real time remotely. In a recent case study, a manufacturing plant reduced accidents by 40% after implementing our system. Features include night vision, advanced monitoring for PPEs, work at height and welding activities, including real-time analytics, making it a comprehensive safety solution. Our team of experts ensures the highest quality and reliability, constantly innovating to meet your safety needs. Plus, our dedicated support team is here to assist you 24/7, ensuring that you get the most out of your investment. Join the revolution in safety with Tracker AI's smart PTZ camera system. It's time to take your safety measures to the next level. Visit tracker.live to learn more and get started today. Together, we can create a safer, smarter future for everyone.
Welcome to another episode of Hacklab Podcast, where we explore the human side of business, leadership, and workplace transformation. Today's topic is one that doesn't get nearly as enough attention in the safety world, which is psychological safety, the missing piece in compliance. While many organizations focus heavily on meeting standards and passing audits, there are a deeper level, one that involves trust, communication, and emotional well-being at work. Joining me is a true expert in this space, Ms. Vineetha Vincent, a certified professional and lead auditor across ISO 45001, 9001, 14001, and SMETA frameworks. With extensive experience in social compliance and workforce welfare, she brings an insightful perspective on how organizations can move forward from surface level compliance to truly safe and inclusive workplaces. So let's get started. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us your time today. Before we get into the questions, I would request you to please introduce yourself for our audience.
Yeah, thanks for the initial introduction, Mr. Amper. Yes, to add on to that, in a nutshell, I would say that I've possessed 14 years of work experience in which the core profile, job profile was, of course, training. And in respect to safety, I worked for builder firms and also for Kochi metro projects. And since 2020, I have transferred myself from a full-time employee to freelance basis. And currently, I provide consultancy works and, of course, training as usual, both offline and online. And from 2022, I'm working as an empaneled auditor for Bureau Veritas, Kochi and Coimbatore region.
So let's get started. So, what does psychological safety mean in the context of social compliance?
All right. So, as the name says, psychological safety is nothing but you're free of any psychological hazards. That means you can be yourself in workplace. You can be like you have the freedom to ask questions without being feared or having the fear of negative consequences against you. You can put forward your clarifications or any doubts that has to be cleared. And there are also different levels of psychological safety, such as inclusion safety, challenger safety, contributory safety. Inclusion safety means where you feel a part of as a group, you feel a sense of ownership. And then contributor safety means you can contribute freely your thoughts, ideas, or any smart risks that can be taken. And challenger safety, I think it's the pinnacle of that, where you can challenge someone or some concepts or ideas. At the same time, I also want to let you know that psychological safety does not mean that we have to be nice all the time, or we have to say to yes to each and every request and demands. So it is just a situation in which you are willing to take smart risk, learn from mistakes, and be yourself in an authentic way. And one more thing, Amber, why I picked up this psychological safety is you would be wondering, because the importance of psychological safety is that if you look at the accident causations, if you do a research on that, you will find that 80 to 90% of the accidents are caused by human errors, and psychological safety has a direct connection. The more psychological hazards are there within a workplace, the higher the chance of having a workplace accidents and injuries. So that is another reason why I picked up this topic, psychological safety.
Right. So, ma'am, like you mentioned about psychology, so there's a direct connection. If there's a human being, he or she will have a psychology, and then we need that psychological safety. But as machines take over, I don't think machines have any psychology or anything. So I think this will be very different.
But still, there is presence of humans in workplace. So even there's a machine, maybe the operator is the one who decides which to operate. So I think even if you put in the best and trainings and other things, there is also a chance of putting in or pressing the wrong button. And that is where the psychological safety comes into play most importantly.
Health and safety.
In very few companies, I've seen the companies following religiously the health and safety, also considering psychological hazards a part of the HSE procedures. Yes, I do believe that in some companies, it is psychological safety is quite often overlooked. It is primarily, and I would like to say that because my experiences amongst the Indian diaspora, we always have a notion that HSE procedures and implementation is just related to physical safety. That means if you take the HIRA or risk assessments, and if you go through that, a very few companies capture psychological hazards. Most often, it is just physical hazards, chemical, and to some extent biological hazards. So, the understanding that psychological safety plays a key role in making a workplace safe is quite often overlooked. The focus is just primarily to the physical safety of the workers. If you give them PPE, if you put machine guards, and then I have a 102 document SOP, we have a notion that, okay, I've implemented health and safety. But then also you need to understand the importance of psychological safety and make sure that there are no chances of making a human error. Or if you do the root cause analysis of most of the accidents and injuries, that even fatalities that happen in a workplace, you can narrow it down to the stress or anxiety. Human who is undergoing a lot of stress and anxiety, pressure, cannot focus or cannot work efficiently in an environment. So that is something quite overlooked, and more focus is given to the physical and other types of hazards.
Ma'am, in your auditing experience, Have you seen workplaces that met compliance standards but lacked psychological safety?
As I told earlier, there are companies who religiously follow the patterns and procedures of identifying psychological hazards and mitigating it. But yeah, to some extent, I would like to admit for in some certain organization, or almost we can say 50% of an organization, it is just the implementation is just for to whitewash or to confirm with audit requirements. How far it is carried out in a robust manner is still a questionable thing. For examples, if you go for audit, we can see that they have installed a suggestion box or complaint box. But there are saying that there are companies who have a strict rule that every 2 weeks they will open up and they will address the issue, and it is pasted next to the complaint board. There are also companies like that, but if you take an average company, the if you ask them, okay, what is the frequency that you look into the issues, or how frequently the worker complaint is solved, they're answerless. They don't have a specific answer to say. For example, in one of the companies, I've seen that the complaint box was just installed and there was a surveillance camera opposite to that, which should not be allowed. Suggestion or complaint boxes, the complaint boxes should be kept in a area where there should not be any kind of monitoring or surveillance. And also in certain companies, they must have given the toll-free number for the workers to call up and address their issues and concerns. But to what extent, if you ask a worker, like to measure their psychological safety, if you give a question, how confident you are to call that toll free number and address your issue, and you give them some options like if it's a shop floor employee, 20%, 50%, 70 or 100%. Sarah, like all the employees would probably tick that 100%. But at the back of your mind as an auditor, if you just question the genuinity or genuineness of that 100%, you will have multiple doubts. Maybe where they coached to tick that 100%, or most of the workers, when I interact with them, I can see fear. Like they are not sure whether if they voice out their opinions or concerns, will it have a negative consequence against them. So maybe that fear of losing the job would have made them take the 100%. Here, the biggest challenge is, Mr. Ampar, is to quantify take the measurement in quantitative terms. It's a very big challenge. So we can only go with some kind of assumptions, and it's again very limited in terms of psychological safety.
So when you were giving me the example, so I was working in Singapore for a company, and we had a survey of how the top management is performing.
Mm-hmm.
So the first month it was non-anonymous, like it was not anonymous. So we have to put in our name. So the survey results were all good. But the next month they did it anonymous survey. And then the actual thing came out that the management is not performing well. So as you can see, this anonymity plays a big role. This is psychological safety.
Certainly. And the funny thing is that in some companies, even what they assure, the assurance given as anonymous backstabs in certain cases.
They track your IDs.
I've seen also trolls in one of the trolls on Facebook or Instagram. I don't know, but it's HR managers asked you to give a anonymous feedback, and the next person they are giving you long stares. So you know that they have come to know who gave the feedback.
Right. Yeah, this is very, very common, right? So, like, ma'am, you pointed out a very important point, and the next question is based on that. Can psychological safety be measured during audits, or is it more a cultural and qualitative assessment?
Yeah, primarily I would say it is qualitative and more about a cultural aspect. Like in social compliance, and also I'm very glad that we have transitioned from OSHA's 18,001 to 45,001, where now worker participation and involvement is a mandate requirement. But it has limitations, and because to worker, as I told earlier, for the worker to really open up about his fears and insecurities, it takes a lot of effort. And suppose Amber, like I come to your organization as a social compliance auditor, and I randomly pick your name from the list. and you are called to an cabin. Of course, there is no surveillance, the camera is covered, everything is fine, and there are two auditors, and we are asking you, is there any workload? Is your bonuses and overtime payments are paid on time? Do you have any issues? Even though we ask questions as such question to you, how far you are comfortable in answering them to be true?
Yeah.
So that is one challenge we face. Of course, there is a lot of limitation on measuring the psychological safety in terms of quantitative, and even in qualitative also. Sometimes, as we told that, it is my perspective, okay, I can be wrong, or if some auditors can have a different perspective. This is what I have experienced and felt. Like when we call the housekeeping staff, weavers, or technicians, or operatings, and when we ask this type of questions to figure out if there is any discriminations or any kind of harassments in the workplace, the kind of answers that they give us, I find it, again, it's from my experience, I find it to be coached or typical answers. There's a lot of similarities. Sometimes even before we complete the question, they are giving us the answers. And a lot of fears, as I told you, the fear of losing job. There could be some peer pressure, some senior person must have exerted some pressures, or some kind of insecurities they might have. So even through interactions or consultations or interviews, the exact way they stand in terms of psychological safety is not yet, it's very difficult to figure it out.
Absolutely. So what I'm understanding is like it becomes more subjective instead of objective, and also opening up yourself is like putting yourself in vulnerable situation. Like vulnerability becomes a very big factor.
That is very true. That is very true. Sometimes I feel that they have lot to say, but that I can sense a kind of a hindrance or a barrier between us, me and the worker who is with whom I'm conversing with. So to
Right.
get their confident and to make them feel comfortable sharing their concerns and fear is a big challenge. And I feel that this is the area where empathy, active listening, and the human touch. You told me that machines are taking over, but there's a big difference when a human touches your hand. I have seen workers crying, certain sweepers and certain people who are from the low ground, like when they come, that they look so tired that sometimes I offer biscuits and chai to them, and they literally cry in front of me. There's a lot of human connections and human feelings flowing in this particular social compliance, and when you get to be interactive with them.
Right, right. Ma'am, I did one case study. So the case study was revolving around the CEO of the company, and a misconduct was filed against the CEO by the personal assistant. She was a woman, like woman filed against the CEO, and the HR team was put in as the mediator between these two.
Hmm.
According to me, it doesn't make sense because everyone is connected within this organization. You have to have a third party deal with such kind of situation, right?
Yeah. I think more than the HR, I think it should go to an external person. I think in IC committee, IC in internal committee, and also post committee, you have one external member. I think they should take it up rather than the HR investigating the matters, because there could be biased or prejudiced outcomes, and also there can be a favoritism playing along. So I feel that HR taking up the investigation is not the right thing.
Okay. Moving forward, continuing with this, what role does leadership play in shaping psychologically safe environments?
I think, Ampar, you have already spoken that word. You told leader. You didn't say boss or manager. So from that very word itself, I think that the answer is received. As we say, a leader is someone who motivates you, makes sure that there is proper communication, consultation, and also some who shares their ideas and visions along with you, motivates you to work in a very organic manner. Whereas a boss or someone who is not under the leadership title, they just pushes you to work mechanically and complete the task or complete the targets. Leadership where there should be a comfort in approaching the top management, Or they should also, sometimes I feel that they should also step down from their top to the shop floor level once in a while, conduct safety tours, get to interact with workers, put in some motivations, be a role model for the workers, and also bring in some. All the problems cannot be issued because everyone has their own problems, but if workers feel that they are being listened to, I think one of the main issues with today's world is that there are no one to listen to us. To most of the problems, even if you put in a little bit of empathetic and active listen, and you feel that okay, we are here for you, we can solve this out. Maybe if some workers say that I've got some 5 lakh debt or 10 lakhs debt and all, the company obviously cannot say that okay, we'll give this money and we'll settle that debt for you, but they can give some sort of assurance. Okay, if you work hard and do that and all, we can increase your, we can think of a hike for you, or we have a scheme that you can take loan from us and certain amount, the percentage will be cut from your salary, or we, some sort of assurance if given from the company side, and open communication where each and every communication is filtered down into each and every level of employees. There are various forms of platforms to come forward with their issues, toll free numbers, anonymous emails, or some sort of confidential matters. Even there are companies who provide psychological help in terms of counselings. There are even some companies I know, they also offer medical support in terms, in cases of high anxiety level, or if someone passed away, some dear ones of you passed away, the person must have undergone a lot of psychological issues like depression. So they also offer medical support, and all these are done very confidently, very secretively. And that assurance can workers to work in a comfortable manner. I think recently a course known as mental first aider, I think I get a lot of requests or inquiries for that specific training, mental first aider, because the umber like physical thing, if you have a cut, it is visible on your body, yeah,
You can see
but
that. Yeah.
when it comes to mental like depression and all, you, it's very difficult to identify. If you take Robin Williams or people who have committed suicide or ended their life, all of a sudden you would never guess that person was going through depression or sadness or some sort of mental illness. So it's very difficult to identify psychological issues within a person. So I think it's all about being very open communication and consultation arrangements, and being transparent with your workers and giving them an assurance, okay, we are here for you.
That is very true. Even if you're sitting in a group of 10 people, you will never be able to make sense who is depressed and who's
Yeah,
mentally not
yeah,
feeling
and
well.
that is what this particular course is enabling. Like first aiders, we are selecting some people for mental first aiders, and we are teaching them how to identify the stress and symptoms of all these issues.
That's so, ma'am, how can frontline workers be encouraged to speak up without fear in compliance heavy settings?
Yeah, as especially if you take frontline workers, they usually have this things like shyness, timidness. Like you or like anyone from a mid or top level manager, if you call out their names and all, they will not come forward and speak that freely. It can be started with smaller forums. It may not be a very formal safety committees or any other like formal. It can be a very informal discussions with you and your supervisor, like maybe every week or every 2 to 3 weeks, you can select last Friday or Saturday. Many of the companies have this scheme like coffee with HR or tea with your supervisors. So it can start with smaller forums, and then it can move to even bigger. I think we can take it gradually. Apart from that, you can also motivate them to speak about it, like recognitions, rewards, some kind of motivations, and also as I told, that assurance that whatever they say or speak in front of you will not be used as a negative consequence against them. So gradually you can just train them, give them assurance, and ultimately make them understand why they have to speak up. So that is one way we can encourage frontline workers.
Like, if someone gets arrested police says whatever you say from now on can be and will be used against you. So if that kind of culture is going on in the company, I don't think anyone will ever speak up.
Certainly not. Like I'll tell you an experience. Like many of the time, especially when we speak to women workers, they undergo a lot of psychological issues because they don't have a proper toilet facilities. I know a lot of women workers who have resigned from many companies because of this toilet issues and also because they don't have any facility to dispose of sanitary napkins. It's total hell during those few days. They have a lot of hesitance to speak up. A few days back, when I was in a textile based company, and the textile industry, it's very, the process area is very hot and humid. So I myself was sweating profusely. The workers are acclimatized to that condition, but even I felt bad. So I asked few workers, like, why can't you ask for some cold waters? When I saw they were just drinking normal water, I asked them, why can't you ask for some chilled water? The company had provisions. They had the provision to provide them chilled water. It's not that they are in a situation where they did not have. They had. Still, they were like, no, ma'am, no, we are fine. We are fine. That barrier or that inhibition needs to be taken out first. Even the basic facilities, if you have hesitance to speak up, I think we need to start from the base level. A lot of workers have this because we are brainwashed that a sign and symptom of a good worker is to give in into the demands. We have been brainwashed into working late night even after our office hours and thinking that is perfectly fine. Like more hardworking and more extra effort you put in, you don't have any issues and you don't give any complaint, that is the time you are called a good employee. That is the notion that we have. And even if you take, I'm not criticizing, but even if you take the schemes like employee of the month or the best employee and all, most of the time if you see that these kind of awards are given to people who work without any complaints or who give into the demands. So there are a lot of base things we need to change first.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot that needs to be done in this field.
Certainly.
Yeah. So, what practical steps can companies take to embed psychological safety into their HSC and social compliance strategies?
Okay, I think that would be like I have only a main thing for that particular question is we can say a lot of things like how you and me are speaking. We can say a lot of things online or in a meeting, and we can say that okay, we'll be doing like that for this department workers. When if a worker comes with an issue, we will follow like this. We will take them to this help and other treatment. Everything we can say, but without a system implementation, nothing will move in an organization. So the very first thing I think we need to do is, Mr. Amber, we need to get this into a formal management system. A system must be implemented. And just like all the management system, we can put in the PDCA cycle: plan, do, check, act. We can orally we can say that verbally we are all nice to our workers. Whenever the worker comes with an issue, I will help him or her like this, like that. That we can say a word through words. But if we have a system implemented, starting with a policy, that if a worker comes with so and so issue, this is the procedure that we need to follow, whether you or me who is sitting as an HR or any other designation will be compelled to follow. It does not mean that today I am in a good mood, I help the worker out, tomorrow I'm in a bad mood, I'll not do this. So if you have a system ideally based on PDCA cycle, it will be very beneficial. You can make sure that things get implemented in a company through an organized way. And saying that, I would like to refer, apart from ISO 45001, there is one guideline on psychosocial risk known as ISO 45003. Organization can really integrate that ISO 45003 into their management systems. I think that exclusively work on or make sure that psychosocial risks are mitigated in your company.
Understood. Ma'am, before we wrap up our conversation today, I would like to understand from you what are the three things you would like to share for people who are joining factories or industries or even junior managers which are in the safety industry? What would be those three things?
If it is people who are planning to join health and safety industries, I think, especially with the reference to this particular topic that we have chosen today, I think is respect humans. Respect humans. I think that would be my prime message for today. Respect humans, irrespective of their designations. Whether they are the CEO or to the janitor level, treat them with respect and dignity, what you expect, how you yourself to be treated. And if there are people who are already in the health and safety business, especially leaders and someone from a senior position who can contribute or play a significant role in business taking decision, please invest in psychological safety. Please invest. I can assure you that money will not go wasted. It's going to come back to you in multifold benefits. For example, once you understood that psychological safety plays a key part in reducing accidents and injuries, your staff absenteeism gets reduced, your staff turnover gets reduced, worker efficiency increases, worker competency increases, and also the safety culture of the company increases. So there are multifold benefits that you're going to achieve when you invest in psychological safety. So to all the health and safety professionals and future wannabes also, along with all the health and safety procedure, please make psychological safety a part of it. And the other thing, please treat everyone with respect and be empathetic. It plays a very vital role in the industry. Most of the time, workers go through a lot of burnout, stress, anxiety. Only if you can sit at least 5 minutes with someone and empathetically listen to them and give a small pat, it's going to be okay. If there is at least someone who can do that, because we spend live hours in workplace. Of course you spend in homely, but major time is gone for sleeping. So the major live hours are we spending in workplace. So if we have, and psychological safety is very crucial for team learning, team functioning. Most of the HSC projects are team functioning. So I'm sure if you invest in psychological safety, the company is going to go into a greater heights.
I totally agree with you. And I must say that this was a truly insightful
Thank
conversation.
you.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today and for highlighting how compliance is not just about rules, it's about people. And one should be empathetic towards their co-workers and I think
Yes.
everyone.
We need to make this planet a better place to live in.
So psychological safety might not always show up on an audit checklist, but its presence or absence shape everything from employee well-being to ethical business outcomes. For our listeners, if you are in leadership, compliance, or operations, I hope this episode sparks ideas about creating spaces where people feel safe, heard, and respected. Don't forget to subscribe for more such conversations like this. And if you found today's conversation valuable, do share it with your network. Until next time, please stay safe and take care. Have a nice day.
Okay, and I would also like to thank Mr. Amper and Hacklab Solutions for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Okay.